So let's go for it.
So let's talk about the first one. So this is, people are skeptical of too good to be true. So this is something we've tested extensively. So I've worked with a lot of retailers that do deep discounting. You could be a jewelry retailer, you could be selling fashion clothing, you could be selling a whole bunch of things. It's very common for marketers today to give not very common, but there are instances where marketers are giving a 74% discount or a 75% discount.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the weird thing about price elasticity. What price elasticity states is that as the price goes down, demand, supply, units sold go up. So one would expect if you give a 20% discount, there's going to be a 20% bump in demand. That plays out pretty well. So if you go to 30% discount, you have a 30% bump in demand. But it starts breaking down after a point. So once you get into like deep discounting, what we find is that conversion rates actually start going down. They first plateau and then they start actually going down. And the reason for this is that it's too good to be true. People are now nervous, and I'll explain to you examples. So one of the questions I might have, if I'm buying, for example, a computer, and I go to Best Buy and I'm looking for an iMac. This is hypothetical, and I see it's at 75% discount. Now I'm having a lot of questions. It went from being like amazingly fortunate day that I'm on this page to now making me second guess myself. One is that, hey, maybe this iMac is going to be phased out, so I'll buy it and it's a new model will be launched tomorrow. Do I really want to do that? The second one is that, what if there's a defect in it and they're trying to get rid of their defect? The third one could be, what if this company's shutting down and they're trying to liquidate their inventory? So what is actually a very positive discount is now being perceived as being potentially negative. And so I'm going to show you an example of
what's that number you think? I mean, it's a very hard one, right? But would you say more than 40%? Like what's that number where you think people should not go above?
Well, I mean, we look at something called the look to book ratio. So when a client kind of changes their discount, so we actually study how many people came to that page and how many units that product was sold. When we start seeing a plateauing in effect in terms of like the discount is not leading to more conversion rates, we know that means that the discount is potentially now either is getting the problematic zone. I would say typically around 50%, 60%. It really varies per industry. There, like for example, jewelry, for certain types of jewelry and clothing, people actually expect deep discounts. So 60% discount is normal. But for electronics, like on Apple, for example, if I saw a 50% discount, I would actually typically not buy, because it's like, what the heck is this? This seems like too good to be true. So
so it's a bit like that too good to be true test. So if you know your industry, like you should know like what prices are too good to be true and which ones are not.
And too good to be true, by the way, too good to be true is not just to be used in terms of pricing. It could be, for example, if you've invented a new product that is like 30% more effective than the best product in the marketplace, you need to be aware of the fact that some people will, I mean, obviously from one perspective, 30% improvement is an amazing improvement. But from another perspective, people might be skeptical of this. So when I say too good to be true, it's anything that the buyer might potentially consider too good to be true. So you need to kind of qualify that. Another simple example would be that if I told you that I could improve your conversion rates by 20%, and let's treat it like an A/B test. So in one version, I said I can improve by 20%. In another version, I said I can improve by 98%. I'm 100% confident that even though the second version is 4x more, 5x more than the first, so you should be 5x happier. Actually, you'll be a lot more skeptical if I said 98%, because you're like, well, I think this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Whereas 20% seems more reasonable. So it applies to any claims that you're making.
This actually happened to us exactly probably 2 weeks ago, where we made on our front page, we say that we can improve conversion rate, and we made a typo. We said by 22% instead of doing up to, which is the correct one. And then we actually did a call with the customer, and then he said, this is really good, but I have no idea how come your claim is so specific. How do you know it's going to be exactly 22%? And I was like, no, it's not. And then I looked at it and it said by 22%. And I was like, oh, I get it now. And it's exactly what the moment she read it, she was thinking, yeah, this doesn't make sense. How can it be so specific? And the moment I changed it to up to, she said, yeah, that makes more sense now. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So I've given an example over here for how a retailer could actually tell a story around discounting. So this is just one version of the story we've tested. I'm not going to even read it, but the basic idea here is that you need to craft a story that matches up with what you're doing. In this case, we've made one version of the story. For those of you who are interested, you can pause the video at this point and actually read the copy and see how you can apply it. But I won't get into this right now. I don't think it's really relevant. I think the point is that be aware of parts of your sales pitch that seem too good to be true, and make sure you're backing that up with data. That's the basic point.